Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Jenny Halpin, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Corporal Nathaniel Bull. Today, we commemorate the 28th anniversary of the Black Hawk training accident in which 18 men lost their lives. On the evening of the 12th of June 1996, 6 Australian Army Black Hawk helicopters from the 5th Aviation Regiment were conducting a counter-terrorism training exercise near Townsville, Queensland. To simulate real operational conditions, 4 of the aircraft were flying in close formation, and in blacked-out conditions, night vision goggles were relied upon. Aboard were troopers from the Special Air Service Regiment. As the formation approached the target, suddenly one of the Black Hawks veered sideways, its main rotor destroying the tail section of the adjacent chopper. Both quickly went down, one making a hard landing but on fire, the other plummeting to earth and bursting into flames. The other Black Hawks quickly landed, with some men jumping metres from the ground in their rush to aid their comrades. The bravery, speed and professionalism of those at the scene of the disaster was later praised. 14 men were decorated. But it was a devastating blow to the 2 regiments and to the wider Australian Special Forces community. 15 troopers from the Special Air Service Regiment and 3 pilots from the Australian 5th Aviation Regiment were killed. Another 12 were injured. Today, we pay our respects to those who lost their lives in this tragic accident and to the survivors, their comrades and family members. This evening, we warmly welcome the United States Indo-Pacific Command delegation in attendance. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial and students representing St Paul's Primary School visiting from Gateshead in New South Wales. Now, if you are able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Students and others, if you are able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, flowers of the forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Acting Sergeant Donald Bone. Donald Bone was born at Noorat, a small township in southwestern Victoria, on the 31st of March, 1910. The son of Annie and Henry Bone, after his schooling, he went on to work as a clerk and an accountant. Donald Bone enlisted in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force on the 30th of November, 1939. Taken on strength at Melbourne Showground Depot, he began training. In December, Bone was posted to the 6th Division headquarters and classified for duty as clerk, becoming part of the Australian Army Service Corps. As part of the 6th Division headquarters, Bone would travel with the 6th Division as it took part in the early stages of the war, seeing action against Italian forces in North Africa and then participating in the defence of Greece. Embarking at Melbourne on the 14th of April 1940, he arrived at Canberra, an Egyptian city on the western side of the Suez Canal. In mid-May, while at sea, Bone was found absent without leave for a short period and was fined accordingly. This minor breach of military discipline did not prevent him from rising through the ranks, and he was promoted to corporal in November and then acting sergeant in December. During January and February 1941, the 6th Division pushed the Italian army back across Libya with actions at Derna Barche and Benghazi. Although the plan was initially for the 6th Division to remain in Cyrenaica for defence, it was withdrawn from North Africa to instead defend Greece. Australian Prime Minister Robert Menzies agreed to sending Australian troops to defend Greece against the German attack in March, despite concerns that the operation was risky and might end in disaster. Arriving in late March and early April 1941, the 6th Division joined a New Zealand and British force. On the 6th of April, the Germans began their invasion of Greece. Despite their efforts, the Allied force was unable to halt the rapid German advance. The Allies were outnumbered and outflanked by the Germans, and by the 27th of April, were driven off the Greek mainland. The 6th Division's casualties in Greece amounted to 320 killed, 494 wounded, and 2,030 captured. Among their number was Sergeant Donald Bone, initially reported missing in action on the 18th of April 1941. He was later believed to be a prisoner of war. Bone was mentioned in dispatches in July, with his distinguished service being recognised. He was later presumed to be dead. Today, Donald Bone is remembered at the Athens Memorial, which commemorates nearly 3,000 members of the land forces of the Commonwealth who lost their lives during campaigns in Greece and Crete and have no known grave. The Bone family suffered greatly during the war. Donald's brother Ivan also enlisted in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force. He served with the 2nd 22nd Battalion and became a prisoner of war after the Japanese invasion of Rabaul, later dying of illness on or before the 31st of March 1942. Donald Bone's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left amongst almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his name is listed on the Athens Memorial. It's displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Acting Sergeant Donald Bone, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.